apologize. I was just confirming something that I was going to put in my report. I have two reports tonight. The first one being is we are still looking for freshmen, OSAs, overnight student ambassadors. So if you're a freshman or you know a freshman who might be interested, please go to the AIA website or just kind of look up like tour guides, overnight student ambassador. There should be a link, or just email me at georgia.martin@valpo.edu. This is a great opportunity for freshmen to start getting involved with campus. And yeah, it's a great way to make new connections and stuff. It's really good opportunity. Also, the other thing is I am going to try to have a meeting. I'm trying to partner with Earth Tones right now. If that doesn't happen in the time frame that I want it to, I will be sending out an email or posting about it for the COP26, which was a climate change conference that happened in late October, early November, just to kind of like bring together a big like student body to talk about the changes that were made and the plans. And if you guys had any opinions about it or would like to see something for our climate, because it's really important. That's it. Thank you. Further information will be on soon. Sorry.
Thank you, Senator Martin. Are there any other senator reports tonight? Senator Behrens? Trying to log into the documents.
Okay, so I'm just going to briefly go over our junior class constituency report, which had about 4 main points to it. The first one is constituents have expressed the need for more blue lights and lighting in general around campus, especially around like the sorority house and the German house. Founders catering, there are students, especially student leaders and student boards, that have expressed concerns about cater all of their food through organization, other organizations through founders because of how expensive it is and how they can't now bring in their own food for things such as bake sales. Commuter parking is another issue because commuters at Valpo have had a hard time finding parking spaces in certain lots and have resorted to using staff parking, which results in tickets. And finally, library study rooms. A few students have also expressed interest in having study rooms being only for students, especially during that time of finals week, with study rooms being heavily used. Those are 4 main points, and we go into more details about it in our actual constituency report. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
So recently I've been talking to some constituents, and I've realized recently that Valparaiso University doesn't have a lot of resources for trans students. And so I'm working on talking with the university and then eventually drafting an SR to sort of set up some online resources that might address this. A lot of universities outside of Valpo have resources such as listing nearby gender clinics, mental health services, places where hormone therapy is available alongside things like laser hair removal. And these resources are really useful for trans students from the ones I've talked to. And the fact that we don't have this is really unfortunate, especially because Indiana has so few of these resources available in the state. And Valpo is in a unique position to give access and listings for them because we're next to Chicago, which has far more resources than the rest of Indiana. So if there's any interest in helping me with that or providing feedback, talking with the university, or drafting the SR, please let me know. It probably won't go into effect till next semester because we're so close to the end. But if you have interest, please email me at nathan.robb@valpo.edu and report.
Thank you, Senator Robb. Are there any other Senator reports tonight? All right, seeing none, moving on to advisors reports.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that, it's the last couple weeks of the semester, not a lot happening, but one thing the university has been doing with the city, and it's actually of no cost to the university, the city has a budget and a grant to do this, is that by the V-Line stop at the Union here on the north end of the Union, there's going to be a new sign, some signage that actually is solar powered and has a live map of the bus route, where the bus is on that sign. So students will have an idea where the V-Line is on the route and when it might be coming. The city has this initiative going around the entire city at various stops with V-Line. So you'll see these kind of pieces of signage up all over the city, but they give us the opportunity to have one here so that students can get an idea what's going on. And so it has a radio screen on it, and then it's branded to fit Valparaiso University, so it's got Valpo branding on it as well. So you'll see that appear at some point, I think, in the near future here on the north end of the Union. So that's about it. Things are winding down for the semester otherwise, so not much more from me.
I would say that, as you guys all are aware, that there's really just 2 short weeks left of classes, then you jump right into finals. And this is the time where you and your constituents are buried underneath the list of academic matters, such as text papers and other things that you may or may not be aware of prior to break. My advice is get lots of rest, drink lots of fluids, and do your very best to keep your head above water as you guys are pushing through these last couple of weeks of classes. And if there is a moment where you or any of your constituents need additional support through this endeavor, do not hesitate to contact Student Life, and we'll be happy to connect you with resources or help you navigate this wonderful maze that we call the end of the semester.
All right, thank you, advisors. Moving on to officers' reports. President Ford.
No.
All right, moving on to my report. All right, thank you so much for all of you who have turned in constituents reports. I look forward to reading those. What I do with those is I will read through those and find themes and topics that run through each one and compile that all into one report. I will have that ready by next meeting, and then I can share that with all of you. And what I'll also do is share that with a bunch of administrators, deans of colleges, and other important people on this campus that some of these issues address. So that will all be done over the weekend and by Monday's next meeting. I'm still missing just a few constituencies reports. So if you could get those in to me by the end of today, or at the very, very, very latest by the end of this week, so that I can have that all for the weekend when I compile that. But thank you again for getting in touch with your constituents. I look forward to reading them, and I think that the university looks forward to reading them as well. So tonight we'll be voting on Tier 3 budgets in Senator Parizo's report. So I just kind of wanted to go over with some of you how to vote through Robert's rules in that. So if you wanted to move money, which I hope that some of you have come today with discussion topics and wanting to move money and everything. If you wanted to move money, all you have to do is motion to, for example, move $30 from the pot. So the pot is leftover funds in Tier 3 budgeting that have not been used in the budgets. So say if you wanted to move $20 from the pot into a certain organization's budget, that's all you have to say. So I motion to move $20 from the pot to Active Minds budget. And then we vote on that. And this will all be done during a discussion. So somebody will motion to open the floor to discussion. Everybody will be free to discuss. And then when we move into a motion of voting, that will take precedent. And then as soon as that motion is voted on, we move back into discussion and keep discussing. Does anybody have any questions about that? You can also move money out of people's budgets, move money from different categories. We don't have line items anymore, but we still have categories. So you can move money from any of that, and it's literally just a motion to move said money into said place. Does anybody have any questions? Please let me know now. It's okay. All right. Moving on to Senate resolutions. I I know there's for sure one Senate resolution being worked on right now, but if there's any others, please, please, please have that finished by tomorrow because it has to come to our executive committee meeting. This is a step in the Senate resolution process that can't be overlooked. It just needs to come to executive committee so we can discuss and help you out with the report before it comes to General Assembly. And since tomorrow's executive committee meeting is the last exec committee meeting before the last General Assembly, it has to come to this one tomorrow. So please have those finished. There are plenty of returning senators out there that have been willing to help you guys out with putting that into the correct formatting and all of that. So please reach out to them if you have any ideas or current Senate resolutions that you just need some help on. They can be co-sponsors. You don't have to be the sole person working on it. Several people can work on this. Just make sure that it is coming to our executive committee meeting tomorrow so that it can be voted on in General Assembly next week. And that is through some Robert's Rules maneuvers moving from old business to new business, but we'll get to that. Does anybody have any questions about that on campus? That is at 6:15. So exec committee will be going down there together. So if you wanted to meet up with us at the tree lighting ceremony, that would be fun. But there are other holiday festivities going on during this week and during next week. Vespers is this weekend. It's just some fun community engagement and activities. So even if you don't celebrate some of the holidays that are celebrated here on campus, it's still fun to get together with friends and just enjoy the community aspect of this season. Also, check out our door. It's pretty awesome. I'm pretty confident that we're gonna win. Yeah, and voting is tomorrow on that door, so I'll let you all know how that worked out. But I'm pretty confident. Lastly, our last meeting of the semester will be next week, December 6th. We will be, if your committees meet after General Assembly, you guys can still meet after General Assembly next week. It's just, it will be the last full General Assembly meeting of the semester next week. And then I also included in my email yesterday, if you guys were interested in having a holiday party, what are you guys thinking? Yes, yes, cool, okay. So that will have to be a potluck because we only have so much money in our budget. We do have to get that approved by Parkhurst to bring in food, so we will do that. Please let us know if you have any food allergens so that we can let people know when not to put in food to bring. And if you guys have any suggestions of some like activities that we can do, just send those to President Four and I, and we'll try to plan some things for a fun holiday party. And that will take place right immediately after this meeting so that we're all here together and we don't have to find another time, another space, because I believe we have this space until 10 o'clock. So it'll take place right after. Come in Christmas gear, come in pajamas. Senate business casual can go out the window for next meeting. I said a lot. Does anybody have any questions? If you do later, just shoot me an email. Let me know. A lot of stuff happening. All right, moving on to Secretary Schaus. Public Relations Coordinator Grimpy said he will be creating a new group chat because he can't add anybody into the group me now. So he just needs to figure something out. So just look out for that. Once he gets the headshot digital copies, he will use them in Senate promotions, window promotions, and website biographies. We'll also send those out to you. Thank you again to Daniel Asselstein for taking those for us. He's not here right now, but just bring it into the universe. And if any committee chairs want to promote their meetings or any events that you have planned, please reach out to him to get those promotions made. Does anybody have any questions regarding that? Okay. Moving on to Executive Treasurer reports. All right. Moving on to committee reports. Executive Committee Chair report.
Yeah, so we're just meeting tomorrow, and we're going to be discussing the Senate representation structure. We worked on it a little bit last week, or the week before break, but we need to finalize that. And then once we're done with a draft of that. We'll be working on the financial structure of what we want Senate to look like. So just to give you guys an update on where we are at, we're currently in the process of putting together our first draft of what we want Senate to look like. Does anyone have any questions for me about anything? All right.
Thank you, President Ford. Moving on to Finance Committee Chair Parizo.
Hello, everyone. Before we start the voting process, just a few reminders. The Tier 3 budget slate can be found in last week's General Assembly notes for you to pull it up on your own computer. It's also up here. And right now we have $345.01 in the pot. That is money that is not currently allocated to any organization. And can be moved around as we all vote on. All the organizations that have like their total funding being requested in red are organizations that have asked for funding over the Tier 3 allocation of $500. As a Tier 3 org, you can only request and receive up to $500. So keep that in mind as you're moving stuff around. Are there any questions before we start? Motion to discuss? It just gets rolled up. Oh, okay. So the money that is left in the pot that is not allocated to an organization, I believe it rolls over into next year. Is it 2 years? Next year. And that'll be for us to allocate at a later point if we don't allocate it now.
Are there any questions for Senator Parizo before we move into discussion, just about the general process? All right, then I suggest there be a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
Is there a second? We are now into discussion. Senator Rump?
Obviously, the biggest request here is Active Minds. I'm assuming that extra money is for the campaign we talked about earlier. I guess the biggest question I have is we definitely don't have enough money in the pot to fund that, and it would also be going over the maximum of 500. So I guess I just want to gauge: is there any interest in making an exception for this? Or attempting to fund it, even though we don't have enough in the pot and we have to take from other boards?
Can I ask what the money's being used for specifically? Are they allowed to answer?
So that's for the event that they wanted to do, the Sunshine Packing with the backpacks and the representation, I believe, of students who have committed suicide. That is a nationally held event, and like they said, only a couple of schools in the area have been able to do that. And they have an opportunity to do that if it was funded.
They just want us to mention that it's in the bylaws that they can only get up to $500 of funding, so I'm not even sure if it's possible for an exception to be made since it's in the bylaws. Point of inquiry. Are there other funding sources for them to get the money to do this event? Is this just their first?
So
DFC is one avenue they could go for. I think the next DFC application period is in January. So that's something that if it's not too late for them to look at possibly going through DFC for the extra funding, that's something they can look at.
Another possibility for them is to apply to be a tier 2 organization in the next semester. Then you get more funding.
for
Yeah, for the next year, not for this semester. For the spring semester, they have to do that once they are actually approved to be a tier 2 organization.
And that would have to be done through the admin committee.
Would they be able to fully fund their 3,000 request with the upgrade?
Yes, tier 2 orgs can request up to $10,000. It wouldn't be for this year though. If they did request a tier change, it would be for the 2022-2023 school year. Any other discussion points? Questions?
Can we talk about other organizations too?
Yeah.
Okay. For the Hooked on Comics acapella, they're requesting 500
Right.
But I noticed that they have like a funding for conferences for $100 that they don't provide a description on. Yeah, it's right there. And the L and then.
So they asked for $155 dollars, and then that's their description, and then we only gave them part of that because they requested over the like $500 amount. So we cut the 55 or whatever dollars it was in order to hit that $500.
The M column is a different category.
So so just to clarify, the way it works is this is what they requested. So like they requested $155 in conferences and sponsored retreats in column J. In column K, that's their description for conferences and sponsored retreats. And then in column L is what they actually got. So that's their funding. So they requested 155 and they only got 100.
Okay, thanks.
So then like column M, they requested nothing for ongoing organizational functions. It's a different slate than it has been previously. So if you have any questions about how like any of this works and what the lines mean, let me know.
We are still in discussion. Senator Chenoweth?
I have a question about HARM in row 9, column X for their supplies and office necessities column. They requested $25 and received 0. I was just wondering if there is any specific reason for that, or if that's something that we can toss $25 at.
It's totally possible for you to. It was something that we felt they could easily, a resource that they can have easily accessible to them. If any other finance committee members want to speak on that, they can. But it's totally like, it's not against any bylaws or anything, so it's totally up to you guys if you want to put money into that line or not.
We're currently working on a resource document that a lot of boards don't really know that they have access to. So a lot of times they'll have access to we talked about a subscription to New York Times, I think it was, which you can get through the library. So if we would say no to a lot of these resources, it's because they have access to them. But you could definitely make a motion.
Senator Rupp?
Is there a specific resource for sort of office and craft supplies through the library or somewhere?
There's free craft supplies in the down there on the second floor that students can access, and then for games, there's games, tons of board games and stuff you can go right out from the library. So I don't know if that's necessary to fund.
Mr. Dawson?
I just have a general question. So back to the active minds, like obviously it's the most expensive thing. So if we were to fund that, is that a lot of the total budget? And then after that, we'd have 345 left over, or would we have to is 345 the limit is left in the pot without considering the full request? If we were just given $500.
So the 345 is left from adding up all the spring 2022 funding columns in blue in column E.
Okay.
And those are what was actually allocated to the organization. So in the case of Active Minds, they asked for $3,200 and they actually received $500. But I would like to remind everybody that in our bylaws, it states that tier 3 orgs can only request up to $500. So we can't go against our bylaws, so we can't fund them more than that, more than they've already received. However, I would like to remind everybody that a good avenue for them might be DFC or considering a tier change in the upcoming semester. Any other questions?
We are still in discussion.
Point of inquiry,
Yes.
what is 5 at?
Is a physician's assistant club, I think, physician's assistant club. We have a physician's assistant major here on campus, and they are primarily serving that.
Senator Chenoweth?
So for the Orthodox Christian Fellowship's budget in line 15 for their ongoing organizational functions, they requested $80 for 2 separate things. They only did 40. I was just wondering, is that for one or the other thing? Was that the rationale, or is it some of each of it? Or?
$40 was for the first part, the Holy Week event, which includes supplies and traditional, or for traditional activities. We did not fund the food, we did not choose to fund the food portion of the event. Well, we do have a food bylaw. It does not say that you can't have food at all, but just that food needs to be for the general membership or a general campus and not just for like the e-board having like a pizza party or something like that. That's something you guys can choose to add money into if you so wish. The finance committee just decided not to.
In line 5 for the organization, Beta Gamma Sigma, they requested $200 for their leadership summit, but they only given $180. Did they ask for like over the amount it would cost to go to the leadership summit? What was the reason behind that?
We looked up on the actual website and it told us the price per person to go to the summit. So they were just finding you.
As a reminder, I don't know if any of you needed to ask questions, but if you wanted to ask questions to either the advisors or our executive treasurer, that is a motion to open the floor to either the e-board or advisors for any questions regarding more financing beyond the finance committee. So just putting the reminder out there. We're still in discussion.
You guys have been asking really good questions. Are there any motions that you guys wanted to make or any other questions that you had? Happy to answer any that you have. Senator Chenoweth?
I'd like to motion to move $40 from the pot to column O, line 15 for Orthodox Christian Fellowship's ongoing organizational functions funding.
Can you repeat what line again? You said 15?
Yes, in column O.
15 column O. So for their ongoing, okay, so what we were just talking about with the ongoing organizational.
Second.
Senator Chenoweth, can you repeat the amounts again?
I'd like to move $40 from the pot.
Into organizational function funding for Orthodox Christian Fellowship.
All right, there is a motion to move $40 from the pot into row 15, column O, for the Orthodox Christian Fellowship. All in favor of moving $40 from the pot to the Orthodox Christian Fellowship, please raise your placards. All right, all opposed? Any abstentions? All right, $40 has been moved from the pot into the Orthodox Christian Fellowship. Senator Wilson?
On Sigma Tau Delta, it says that they're asking for $2 more than the 500.
That was the person who created their budget actually emailed me about that when I sent him the proposed budget, and he asked why the $2 was added. So that was a mistake. They didn't actually need to request the $2 in supplies.
We're still in discussion, we're just, opening up access so that Senator Frizo can change. Are there any other questions, any about the budget, about any lines? Senator
Okay, and or supplies. When it's fully funded, I believe. Is there a different part you're talking about? No, this is it. The general rule about food and, is we do have a bylaw against like, the food bylaw is a little tricky, that's something that we're changing, but as it stands right now, we like to fund food that is for the, like, membership and democratic community rather than like,
Senator Howard?
Right. So this is something that we discussed within finance, as there are cameras that they can check out, like within the campus. Your phone also serves as a wonderful camera. And you can't really, looking at the camera pricing, you can't really get the volume from the $25. There's no bylaw specifically against this. This is just part of finance's opinion, I guess, that they could get. Can't find that resource somewhere else or use their phone or something like that, but if you guys feel that you want to really fund this line and you have the capacity to do so, I think after the last motion, we still have $305 and $1. We also look at the numbers like how we could pass on to the organization, what would belong to, what would they would do with it when they weren't operating in the summer. I think that would just be more time to do that, and that kind of got the decision.
Any more questions or relevant motions? Senator Turnbull?
To road and type safety response budget for
All right, so there's a motion to move $25 from the pot into VU Haunt line or category for supplies, supplies and office necessities, line 9, or row 9, column X. All in favor of moving $25 in the pot into VU Haunt's budget, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that passes 18-5-0. Any more questions or relevant motions? Senator Barron?
Motion to move 1 cent.
Thank you.
No, it's okay.
All right. There's a motion to move 1 cent to Hooked on Tonics line for supplies and office necessities and funding, which is row 10, column X. All in favor of moving 1 cent from the pot to that line, please raise your placards. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right. That motion passes 22-1-0. Senator Chenoweth?
I have a question about the Chinese Students and Scholars Association.